Hello everyone, welcome to another edition of what your money can buy in Toronto real estate. This time I'm going to show you a Toronto condo unit I purchased for my clients right on Yonge Street in the heart of Thornhill, and I purchased it for my clients for $635,000. As always, this video tour is not just a video tour. I'm going to tell you what this sale represents and what it says about the Toronto and GTA real estate market at the time it occurred. Always, I'm going to try to talk about informative tidbits, advice, market review, market stats while we go through this property that I just purchased. As you see the building behind me, it is the building of 7608 Yonge Street. Once again, right on Yonge Street, very close to Yonge St. The most major intersection closest to this property, to this building, is Yonge and John. So if you're familiar with this area, it is the highly sought after community and neighborhood of Thornhill. And if you do not know, Thornhill is one of the oldest neighborhoods in the entirety of the GTA. But before we get into the video, as always, if you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Sam, a Toronto and GTA real estate agent actively working within the Toronto and GTA real estate market on the behalf of buyers and sellers. On this channel, we like to discuss all things having to do with the Toronto real estate market. Buyer advice, market stats, market reports, condo reviews, pre-construction previews, area analysis, property tours such as this when I buy and sell a home for a client, and so much more. So if you find any of this content informative, feel free to find the previous editions of this series on my channel or subscribe for more videos. Lastly, as always, you know my contact information in the description box or on the screen. Feel free to reach out to me for any further inquiries with regards to the Toronto and GTA real estate market. So let's get started with the property tour. A little bit more background and context on the building. This building is called Minto Wategarden. It's actually one of the most interesting buildings I've seen because in the back during the summertime, there's a fully active water garden with many little riverets. Now in the name you hear Minto Watergarden, right? It is a Minto building. Minto, in my professional opinion, is one of the better builders within the Toronto real estate market. They're not the A level that I think Tridel stands at alone, and their output, in my opinion, is equal to Menkes and Daniels. But as always, Minto, their best buildings, I think, are on par with Tridel's best buildings. It's just they don't have the equal output and consistency as Tridel, or some would argue a Daniels or a Menkes. So right now we're standing in front of the building. We're gonna go through the lobby. Another thing about this building is it's one of the only buildings in Thornhill, especially right on Yonge Street. It is a low rise, only 7 stories, 7 residential stories. And per square foot, good news for my buyers, we still got them a good deal, but it's actually one of the more affordable buildings anyways in any given market, right? So it's a very family-friendly building, not a lot of high tenants, a lot of end users, often retirees who are downsizing, and it's just a very quiet building. Anyways, let's go inside. All right, guys, now we're inside the unit. The cameraman, as always, his back is against the door. To the right of the entrance here in this little vestibule is the washroom. It is a 3-piece washroom. And then to the left, you have your front entrance closet, and then you have the laundry room. Now for this, the laundry room actually has a decent amount of space for a unit this size. Speaking of which, this unit is a 1+1. So right now, cameraman, if you were to go show the den, this is the +1. It is right by the front door. It is a pretty large den, relatively speaking. And all in all, this 1+1 with 1 washroom is around 654 square feet with 1 parking. And we purchased this once again for $638,000. So relatively less than $1,000 per square foot, because once again, this unit is 654 square feet and with parking. Less than 1,000 square feet right on Yonge Street in the heart of Thornhill, minutes away from the city of Toronto, right? We're not that far from Toronto. It's only a 2-1-minute drive, depending on traffic, from Yonge St. And very close to the 407, very close to Richmond Hill, very central. For $638,000, it was and is a pretty good purchase. In fact, since we've made this purchase, even at the time of recording this video, because remember, when the deals go down is not when I, make the videos. I do it anytime prior to closing or after closing. And that's another key point of emphasis, because right now the home is not staged. But anyways, that's besides the point. The point here is that, of course, we purchased this in September. At the time of recording of this video, it's in December, right? So it's been a couple of months removed. So 2 months removed to be exact. Since that 2 months has elapsed to the time of recording of this video, there has been no 1+1 that has sold this low in this building. Quickly, as on a side tangent, as is the case right now with the Bank of Canada interest rate announcements being multiple pauses, holding, and people potentially talking about cuts in 2024, which obviously we have yet to see. And I think if anything, it's more likely that 1+1s end up selling for more than this per square foot in the building, accounting for all the other differences, because there's various different types of 1+1s in this building with various different exposures. We'll get to all that, but nonetheless, this den you see, and obviously I don't have a huge wingspan, but I can stick out my hands, and a lot of dens I can't do that, especially within downtown Toronto and midtown Toronto. Here in Thornhill, this building, Minto, these 1+1s, they've done a really good job of providing the high ceilings and the wide dens. Now, the only downside to this den is that it's by the front door. In your most ideal world, you would love to have a den that's not by the front door. It's not that close to the front door. I've seen dens way closer, so it's not like it's right next to it, but it's still relatively closer to the front door. And typically, if you're working from home, you might hear some, foot traffic or elevator noises, but that comes with the territory. Anyways, as we transition here, we see the rest of the unit, right? It is wide enough. Now, this is not a railway unit layout. Typically, we would call this a railway if it was a way more narrow. This is wide enough, right, where you have some functional space for where the TV would go and the couch, right? Ideally, you would have the couch on this side, the TV on this side, because you really can't have the couch here because it's gonna blockade the entrance to the balcony, which we'll get to. But right now, of course, it's December and it's dark already. I mean, it's like, I think 1 p.m. we're recording this, it's already dark, but it's still bright in December at 1 p.m. Imagine how bright it's going to be in the summertime, right? This is western exposure, right? So you're definitely gonna get a lot of sun. Now, as we approach the windows, and here's the balcony, and we'll go on the balcony, one of the key areas of emphasis whenever you're buying a unit on Yonge Street is the noise that will come from Yonge Street. Now, ultimately, Yonge Street is like the main artery that goes through the entirety of the GTA when you want to think about it in those terms, right? It's the longest street in the world. It's probably the most trafficked street in the world, all in all. And as I said, this is a low rise. We're on the 6th floor, so there's only one more story above us. So in realistic terms, this is the best you can do in terms of noise coming from Yonge Street, because guess what? A unit on the 3rd floor or the 4th floor, well, you're gonna have more trouble with noise. Here on the 6th floor, and as I said, noise is a concern. You're still gonna hear some noise. There's no doubt about that. You're gonna hear some cars, especially in a vacant state such as this. Obviously, if you have the AC running, or if you have the heater running, if you have the TV on, right? If there's just everyday chatter, that noise, you're not gonna really hear it. But in a vacant state, we do hear some minor noise, but it's definitely much better than it would have been otherwise if we were lower to the ground, on a lower floor, right? There are units that's exactly like this on the 4th floor, the 3rd floor, the 5th floor, on the 2nd floor. And luckily, the fact that we're on the 6th floor can mollify some of those concerns. I mean, now that we are on the balcony and there's cars going and coming, you see the door and the windows did some heavy lifting, of course. Of course, today is a Sunday in December, once again, is surprisingly, it's very little traffic for Yonge Street today. So maybe today was not the best day to do this test, but I've been to this unit multiple times and I can tell you, right, the noise cancellation is, I would say, a 7.5 to 8 out of 10, which is pretty good. Now, obviously, we're looking on to the other perspective of the unit. Now you see where the kitchen is, and the kitchen island, once again, right? The kitchen island is a huge part of what most buyers are looking for, right? Most newer units, this is not an old building, by the way. This was built around 2010, 2012, I believe, between those ranges. Most newer buildings that were built within the last year to 2 years have those side kitchens and they don't have kitchen islands. Now, to each their own, every buyer has their own taste, but I can tell you, out of 10 buyers I work with, especially buyers who are gonna live there, of course, 8 out of 10 are always looking for some sort of island and they don't like the side kitchens. In fact, that's one of the biggest complications of working within the downtown Toronto condo market or midtown, right? Not necessarily North York or Richmond Hill, because those units do come with islands more than not, but mostly working in downtown, midtown, the central city of Toronto. when you're looking for brand new units, brand new units and brand new buildings are most often 9 times out of 10 under a certain price point going to have those side kitchens that most people don't really like. But you know what? Once again, to each their own. The kitchen is on the smaller side, and this is where I can actually transition into talking about how this transaction came about and what it says about the Toronto and GTA real estate market before we go take a look at the bedroom. In fact, actually, let's talk about that as we go inside the bedroom. As we enter the bedroom, we see that once again, floor to ceiling windows inside the bedroom, which is really good. It's not a dual access balcony as I thought it was the first time I saw it. Dual access balcony, by the way, is when a balcony is dual access, one through the living room and one through the bedroom. Here, it appeared as such, but it's not the case, just floor to ceiling windows. And then you have pretty large spacious closet, I would say, for the size of the bedroom and for the size of the unit. So the way in which the sale is most indicative of the Toronto and GTA real estate market at the time we purchased it is because when we purchased it in September, and this only got even more exasperated, especially in October and in November, but more so in October, is the case that supply greatly exceeded demand, right? So there was more inventory on the market than there were active buyers looking. As a result, me and my buyers in this instance had many options, plenty of options. In fact, when we placed an offer on this property at first place, we didn't get anywhere with our offer because we offered a low price, as we should have, of course within reason, but as we should have, because there was no rush. We had many other options. And those are not just empty words, those are the facts, because once we placed an offer on this property, we thought, in response, the sellers were a bit unreasonable. Guess what? We tried a different property and we got a little bit further with that property. And guess what? We kind of stopped negotiations at the other unit and we came back to this unit. We said, most basic, simplest terms, we have options and we are interested in the property, but guess what? We have options. According to comparables, according to the comps, we do not believe the asking price of this property is fair. And I think there should be more room for you guys to come down. And once again, that's exactly what happened. We managed to use, obviously within the guidelines and within the rules, that's always important, but we managed to use the plethora of inventory that was available in our budget, whether it was here in Richmond Hill in this building, to get the best price for the property we liked the most out of the 3. And that's exactly what we managed to do. Now, of course, this is a luxury that's afforded in slow markets. In hot markets, not so much. Hot markets, the leverage, even if there are many options you like, guess what? Those options are going fast, they're not sitting on market, and there is like 4 more buyers behind you that are ready to take it when you're not, right? So this is a luxury that's afforded to buyers in slower, more down buyer-friendly markets. And luckily, that's the market we operated in at the time of September. Anyways, guys, that is it for today's video. This edition of What Your Money Can Buy, $638,000, a Toronto condo right on Yonge Street. Yes, I know, not technically Toronto, get over yourselves. But anyways, as always, follow me for more editions of the series or various other types of videos on the Toronto and GTA real estate market. Lastly, my contact information always on the screen and in the description box. Find me, get in touch with me. I post all different types of content on all different types of social media platforms. And guess what? For any Toronto and GTA real estate inquiries, I'm always here. Sammy's got you. Get in touch with me. Thank you very much for watching. Stay safe and stay tuned. Thank you.